I just had a baby. I expect a $5,000 baby shower gift from you. This outrageous message came from Jessica, the detestable being who stole Michael from me. She had lied about being pregnant to steal him away, leading to our divorce. Even though I've tried to forget that day since remarrying, her presence still disrupts my peace. She hasn't changed, still stirring up trouble without a care. I can hardly believe she's my real sister. But now that this message has arrived and been seen by John, ignoring it isn't an option. Reluctantly, I agreed to attend the celebration since John suggested we go. John seems to have a plan. He's a warm and kind person, but hates dishonesty. He's smart and skilled at turning work situations to his advantage, so I trust he has a strategy in mind. She can laugh about it now, but soon she'll have to face the music for all her wrongdoings. Me, John Johnson. I've been working as an office assistant in a local company since I graduated from college. I've been dating someone since my college days. Back then, through our club activities, I met Michael Smith, a medical student at the same university. His dad is a renowned allergy specialist, so it seems Michael is aiming to become a doctor too. His father's clinic is super popular, with patients from all over the country seeking treatment there. Being the only son of a solo practitioner and heir to a well-known clinic, my first impression was that he was a smart, well-off guy. But that was just my bias. Apparently, talking to him, I found he was quite unique, and we both liked the same film director's work. I wanted to get to know him better, so I made the first move. Hey, have you seen the new movie by that director? If not, want to go see it together? A woman who likes those films. That's a bit surprising. Absolutely. Really, I don't have many fans in my circle. I'm so glad I can watch it with you. My efforts paid off, and he began to see me as someone special. Our relationship continued not just through college but afterwards too, and Michael proposed to me when I was 25. I'm still learning to be a doctor, but in the future, I want to take over my dad's clinic and be a great doctor. I want you, Naomi, to be there to see it all. Will you marry me? Of course, I'd be delighted. Let's have a happy life together. I was on top of the world, pregnant right after getting married. Michael would definitely be a great dad, boy or girl. As long as the baby was healthy, that was all that mattered. Michael was probably just as excited for the birth, but then my happiness shattered. I suffered from severe morning sickness, constantly battling nausea and feeling unwell. I couldn't keep up with my job post-college and had to resign. Fighting my morning sickness at home, I had eating morning sickness, needing to constantly eat to stave off the nausea, surrounded by empty pastry bags where I always sat. I'm home, Naomi. What's happened to this place? It's a mess with all these snacks and bread bags. Sorry, I've been too sick to clean up. You're not working, and you've put on so much weight. It's hard without eating. I was always eating because of my morning sickness. Despite being early in my pregnancy, I had gained 22 lbs compared to before, not doing housework and just eating. You're like a pig who's given up on being late. That's harsh. He laughed mockingly at me, someone who could barely move during her morning sickness. I couldn't believe he could be so cruel. Was my judgment that off? Maybe once the baby was born, Michael would return to his kind self. I held on to that faint hope, but it too would soon crumble. One day, my sister Jessica came to visit. Oh, Naomi, you are here. What a mess, though. Sorry for the mess. That's fine. I'm used to this place, like a second home. There she was, my sister Jessica, appearing before a warning out me, struggling with morning sickness and feeling awful. Jessica occasionally visits our home, but at that moment, I was too unwell to properly entertain her. Hoping a little chat might distract me, I decided to start a conversation. You know, it looks like the baby in my belly is a girl. I keep thinking about dressing up and going shopping together someday. Wow, I didn't know you were thinking about things like that. Does Michael know? It's going to be a girl. Girl? Yeah, I told Michael right away. It's a girl. And you know, I dream of wearing matching outfits with my child. Jessica, you've always been so stylish. I'm counting on your advice when the time comes. Then Jessica turned around, smiling meaningfully. That's right. Michael is still a rookie doctor, but he'll eventually take over the family clinic. Poor Michael, having you as a clinic director's wife. Stop it, Jessica. That's too harsh. You really have a sharp tongue. Jessica is quite sarcastic and sometimes says things that hit hard. As her younger sister, I've gotten used to it over the years. Still, it can be quite tough when I'm feeling unwell. But Jessica quickly returned to her usual smile and waved her hand. Sorry, I just slipped into my usual mode. So, Naomi, anything bothering you lately? Bothering me? Well, Michael's been coming home late lately. He's a doctor, so it's unavoidable. But he seems to be at the hospital all the time, even on weekends. We hardly have time to talk these days. I see. Well, it's no surprise, considering someone like you claims to be a doctor's wife. I felt a chill at Jessica's icy smile. What I came to talk to you today, as she said this. Jessica glanced toward the living room door, then entering from the living room door was Michael. Michael, did you get off work early from the hospital today? I need to talk to you. Let's get a divorce. What kind of joke is this? What do you mean? As soon as I got back, I couldn't understand what Michael was saying at all. I knew he wasn't the type to make such a terrible joke at a time like this, especially since we had been together since college, and I was carrying his child. See, your beloved husband is saying this. You should listen to his request and let go quickly. What, Jessica? Michael looked at me awkwardly. I can't see you as a woman anymore after you kept eating and gaining weight. But this is morning sickness. I feel sick if I don't eat. Jessica looked triumphantly at me. That's the way it is, and the baby in your belly being a girl. She won't be the heir to the Smith Clinic. But in my belly, I carry Michael's child, a suitable heir. Jessica, I felt a sinking feeling as I watched Jessica lovingly stroke her belly. I'm 3 months pregnant and it's a boy, according to the tests. You can't be serious, Michael. What are you doing while I'm going through all this pain? That's why all your excuses, quitting your job and just eating all the time, are unacceptable. I'm tired of watching you lying around, constantly eating snacks. I take care of myself so I don't have morning sickness, even when pregnant. I won't lose my self-control and eat like a pig, unlike you. I was at a loss for words, seeing Jessica's smug face and Michael looking down at the floor, guilt-ridden. Jessica, being pregnant with a boy, I didn't know. But as an heir, I want a son. I prefer a beautiful wife like Jessica over a woman who keeps gaining weight without restraint. That's just wanting an heir and a beautiful wife is your own selfish desire, isn't it? I'll pay alimony, so let's part without any fuss. Seeing Michael apologizing, I knew that things could never go back to how they were. After that, Michael and I divorced, and I gave birth to our daughter as a single mother. His promise of alimony turned out to be just words, with no actual payment. Post-delivery, I had to work to survive since I had no one to rely on. Not knowing what else to do, I took a job at a nearby department store that's hiring. Life is unpredictable. My hard work and character caught the attention of someone. It was John Johnson, a well-regarded manager in the external sales department. Tough day. You're always working hard. Thanks. I'm about to finish up soon. Are you done for the day, John? Yeah, there's this great Italian place nearby. I want you to try, Naomi. And it's a little gift for your daughter. Through light conversations every time we met, we were drawn to each other and began dating, which led to our remarriage. Naomi, I might be a guy 20 years older than you, but I sincerely want to make you and your daughter happy. Will you marry me? Are you sure about me? I'd be delighted. Life after remarriage was truly blissful, a gentle husband, my daughter, and I lived a peaceful life. However, I failed to notice the ominous footsteps creeping closer to our tranquil days. One day, Jan had work, but I was off. Just as I thought of having a leisurely tea, an email arrived. It was from Jessica, and the content was shocking. A baby is born. I'm expecting a $5,000 baby shower gift. A sigh escaped me in front of that curt email. 5 years ago, Jessica had an affair with Michael and snatched him away. Now this and $5,000 for a baby shower gift seemed too much. I can't forget that day, nor can I, even if I tried. The expressions on Jessica and Michael's faces back then, the way they sought happiness together, ignoring my suffering from morning sickness, was unforgivable. I was at a loss on how to respond to Jess's email. Then, John returned from work, noticing something was off, and asked with concern, "What's wrong, Naomi? You look pale." "Oh, John, it's a message from my sister. She had a baby." "The sister who married your ex-husband, Michael?" "Yeah. I don't want to see her face or hear from her. Plus, she's asking for a $5,000 baby shower gift." As John listened and looked at my phone, he suddenly said, "Wait, this Jessica Smith name, you know her?" "I didn't mention her when we got married because I didn't want to remember." "Yeah, I've never been introduced to her by you, but I wonder." John, pondering while looking at the email, seemed to recall something. "We didn't properly greet her during our wedding, so let's visit her now. Also, I just remembered something I needed to do back at the department store." He then hurriedly prepared to leave, going back to the department store now. "Sorry, there's something I need to do." A few hours later, John returned with a thick file. "Is it okay if we visit your sister, Jessica, 2 weeks from now on Sunday? We both have the day off, and I'd like her to meet my parents and cousins too." "Your parents and cousins too." "Jessica loves being the center of attention, so she'll probably be fine." "But why?" "I've heard your ex-husband, Michael, is famous for allergy treatment. My family has a history of allergies. Thought we might get some good advice." I remembered hearing from friends that Michael had taken over his father's allergy clinic. Michael's dad was an authority on allergy treatment, and Michael became an allergist too, a friend told me. "Okay, I'll contact Jessica." Jessica quickly agreed when I contacted her. "I want to see the baby, and we'll bring a gift. Can I bring some relatives too? They really want to meet you." "Of course, the more guests, the more gifts. Looking forward to seeing you in 2 weeks on Sunday." 2 weeks later, on Sunday, I visited Jessica's house with John, his parents, and relatives, including his cousins, in a quiet residential area. Her stylish house stood next to the clinic, its white walls gleaming. John's parents and relatives were surprised by its luxurious design, excited to meet the renowned allergist. "Welcome. I've been waiting for you." "Long time no see, Jessica. You look happy." "Of course. I was worried about my first childbirth, but it all worked out in the end." I felt something off in Jessica's words. "First childbirth? Didn't you say you were pregnant with a boy before?" "Oh, did I not tell you? I miscarried that time, so this is my first." John, standing beside me, nodded meaningfully. Seeing John's face, Jessica started to tremble. "Oh, hello. Nice to meet you." "Hello, you must be Naomi's sister. I heard a bit about the miscarriage." "Yes, but I don't want to remember the miscarriage." Jessica turned her face away in a huff and started to walk off. "Sorry about that." "Oh, there's something I wanted to give you, Jessica." "What? Something for me?" Jan handed her an envelope. It's pastel color, and the word "Congratulations" written on it. Thick enough to be noticeable even from the side. "Here you go. I wanted to give this to Jessica personally." "Got it right? Just what I've been waiting for." I glanced at John and whispered to him, "Hey, we aren't rich, and we don't have to give Jessica the $5,000 she asked for." But John, unfazed, pet me off. "It's fine. Trust me. You'll understand if you watch." "What do you mean if I watch?" While we were talking about the envelope, Jessica had already started opening it. I need to check if it's exactly $5,000. With this thickness, it might even be $10,000. The cute envelope was torn open with a ripping sound. Jessica's face clouded over the moment she opened it. "What's this?" John stepped forward with a salesperson's smile to explain. "Mrs. Jessica Smith, This is a detailed statement of your purchases at the department store over the past 5 years. You said to put it on my tab, and this is the amount you've accumulated to date. What are you talking about? I don't know anything about this. The statement Jessica held listed names of luxury watches and brand bags. Seeing the 5-digit figure in the amount column, I was in disbelief. Indeed, Mr. Michael Smith himself and his parents are valued customers with an external sales card contract. However, with such a high amount, we needed to confirm just to be sure. My husband is the famous allergist Michael Smith. As the wife of the clinic's director, using 1 or 2 external sales cards is nothing. Is that so? Also, there's something else I personally wanted to verify. John paused before continuing. About 5 years ago, we had complaints about a customer flaunting their external sales card and making extremely unpleasant remarks. Do you know anything about this? What's that? What does it matter? Since we had several complaints, I checked with the staff who were nearby at the time. The content of the conversation was so terrible that the staff remembered it clearly. Glancing sideways, I saw Jessica's expression harden. The staff said the conversation was about stealing someone's husband, who happens to be her brother-in-law. Could it be? Yes, that's right. And she bragged about using a fake pregnancy to break them up, laughing loudly. She talked about how she lied about miscarrying like it was some kind of heroic tale. That's when I realized that time. Jessica's claim of being pregnant with a boy, the hair, was all a lie to snatch Michael. Of course, there was no pregnancy, so no morning sickness or changes in her body shape. What are you saying? That story was about me. Matching the complaints with the external sales card, your name, Jessica Smith, came up. I can't believe this. You are marrying into a doctor's family, becoming the clinic director's wife. I couldn't stand it. I had to do whatever it took to tell Michael that I was the right one for him. I was overwhelmed with disbelief that Michael had fallen for Jessica's scheme, and she had lied to marry him. While I was stunned, the door opened. What's this all about? Explain yourself, Jessica. Since when have you been here? From the beginning. I came back to get something I forgot and found the external sales card statement. And now I hear the pregnancy 5 years ago was all a lie. You trapped me. Michael shouted, and Jessica began to laugh. So what? You got a beautiful wife, and we have a child now. So it's fine, right? Don't joke with me. I can't live with a liar like you. Let's get a divorce. You can't be serious. What about our child? Don't you feel sorry for them? Pushing her away, Michael glared at Jessica with a furious expression. I can't live with a liar and reckless spender like you. It's not good for the child either. We're getting a divorce. I'm taking custody. Are you kidding me? Do you have any idea what I went through to give birth to this child? This child needs to become a doctor in the future to support us. You're just thinking about yourself. There's no point in talking about this now. Let's handle the rest through a lawyer. The relatives who came along hoping to get some effective medicine from the famous allergist were frozen in shock at this chaotic scene. I was so embarrassed to admit that she was my sister. Afterward, Michael got a good lawyer specializing in divorce and successfully got divorced and won custody. Meanwhile, Jessica, who had been shopping to her heart's content on credit using the external sales card during her marriage, was now being chased for repayments. Hey, if your husband hadn't brought that statement, I'd still be the clinic director's wife. I'm being hounded for repayments now. Help your sister out in a pinch, would you? Why should I? You brought this on yourself, didn't you? And you should pay for your own shopping. Unexpectedly, I got a message from Michael via social media. Hey, can we start over? If Jessica hadn't lied about having a boy 5 years ago, we would have been fine as a couple. I want to see our daughter too. I had forgotten how you left me suffering with morning sickness and mocked me, then cheated on me. After 5 years of no contact, the last thing I wanted was to see his face again. Michael seemed to be struggling to keep the clinic he inherited from his father running. But you can't stop gossip due to the infidelity rumors. Patients stopped coming. The Smith Clinic, which Michael inherited, had a 1-star rating and unbelievable bad reviews on a hospital review site. It seemed only a matter of time before he would have to close the clinic he was so fixated on inheriting. Ironically, he was so obsessed with having a male heir. My husband, daughter, and I continue to live happily as a family. Naomi, are you ready? Shall we head out soon? Yes, I was just remembering how delicious the spaghetti you brought me from that restaurant was back when I was a single mother. Jen used to order from a restaurant for takeout as a way to approach me. Back then, my daughter was small, and since we weren't dating, we never ate at the restaurant, just as colleagues. You had just gotten divorced and were having a hard time, right? I thought even a little bit of delicious food could bring you happiness. It was your kindness that drew me to you, the dish that brought us together back then. It was just my daughter and me eating takeout, but now it's different. I'm happy that we can eat together as a family. Who would have thought that a day like this, going out with you and our daughter, would come? That worthless wife, just discard her before we land in real trouble. As soon as they assumed I was asleep, my husband and his mother underwent a complete shift in their attitudes. Initially leaving home under the pretext of safeguarding their assets, they shamelessly returned, unleashing chaos. When I confronted them with reality, my name is Daisy, 30 years old, engaged to Brad after a 5-year courtship, living with his parents, the true nature of my husband and his mother became evident. Despite our initial agreement to purchase our own house after having our first child, almost 2 years had passed, and we were still residing with his parents. In this extended stay with my husband, his mother, and his younger brother, concerns about me surfaced among those around us. My parents lived at a considerable distance, requiring air travel, expressing regret that they couldn't provide assistance. Despite this, my relationship with my husband and mother-in-law remained strong, seemingly immune to the typical conflicts between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. I was content until one day, an accident left me hospitalized with a broken bone. Initially, my husband and mother-in-law visited daily, displaying genuine concern. However, their visits dwindled to once a week, and their attitude took a drastic turn. Overhearing a conversation they thought I was oblivious to, my husband and mother-in-law expressed disappointment in me. The accident had rendered me unable to perform household chores or contribute financially. In their eyes, I transformed from a wife to a burden, with the idea of having children becoming even more distant. Their conversation continued, dismissing the purpose of our marriage, claiming that I was meant to serve as a maid and caregiver. Frustrated by the inconvenience, they discussed the possibility of divorcing me. Unbeknownst to them, I heard it all while pretending to be asleep. From that point on, their demeanor towards me grew increasingly cold. My husband's visits became sporadic, and my mother-in-law's comments were laced with disdain. The only solace came from my brother-in-law, who continued to assist me with daily tasks and offered emotional support during my hospitalization. Although physical therapy was challenging, my brother-in-law's presence helped me persevere. Despite my progress, when I shared news of potential lingering issues with my husband and mother-in-law, they argued over my fate, blaming me for their troubles. In reality, I had been caring for my father-in-law for 5 years, a responsibility I undertook while dating my husband. Why don't you live together since you are both going to get married anyway? Yeah, it's a great idea. We can save money by living together and then get married when we're settled. When I hesitated, they reassured me, it's okay. We have plenty of rooms and we won't invade your privacy. Plus, you don't need to pay rent. You want to marry my son, right? How could I refuse? But in return, we have a favor to ask, Daisy. While you're working from home, can you look after our father, who needs care? It's only for 4 to 5 hours during the day when my mother is out for her part-time job. We also have my brother, so the two of you can work together. My brother-in-law was also working from home, so Yi and I teamed up to take care of my father-in-law in the house. My father-in-law and brother-in-law were very close. My father-in-law had a hobby of collecting furniture and even had a separate house just for it. My brother-in-law and I always enjoyed hearing about his hobby. My father-in-law loved his caring son, Reagan. Eventually, my father-in-law's health began to decline, and after years of care, he passed away. After that, my husband proposed to me, saying, "Thank you for always taking care of my father. Let's continue to be together. Let's get married." Despite having worked hard on housework and caregiving, the moment I became immobile, my husband and mother-in-law's attitude towards me became as if I were worthless. Even I, normally composed, was infuriated. "Force me, please pay what you're supposed to." "Well, I don't want any trouble, so I'll give you the house." Let's waive the other division of property. I wondered if he would really give me the house, but since my father-in-law had left a substantial inheritance, it was divided among my mother-in-law, Brad, and Reagan. The inheritance amounted to approximately $300,000 each, so he seemed to have enough assets. Reagan was tasked with handling all paperwork with the executor and had to visit the court several times, which was quite a hassle. "No way, we can't give away the house. If we divide the property, I'll lose half my savings. It's just a wastefully large house in the countryside. Even if we give it away, it's not an issue. Even at the highest estimate, it's only worth about $100,000, plus various fees will be deducted when we sell it. It's cheaper than losing half my savings." "Well, if you say so, Brad. But what if she demands more later? What if rumors spread in the neighborhood because we abandoned her?" The two debated what to do with me. "Then I'll take her in," Reagan, Brad's brother, interrupted. "Why would you go out of your way to do that?" "Ah, you've been interested in Daisy, haven't you? That's why you're so willing. You can have her if you want, but she's no longer of any use to us. Don't ask to take Daisy and the house back later, okay? Why would I? I just hope you won't come asking for money later. And remember, you can't return damaged goods." Brad and Reagan signed papers and arranged to formally change the property title through a lawyer. "I'll take out some money for my savings, so why don't you find a younger, healthier, and prettier woman to marry and build a better house?" "Sounds good. Hey, Daisy, get a lawyer to file for our divorce quickly." They said they'd stay in a hotel for a while and left the room. Reagan and I silently saw them off. I had to find a lawyer to file for our divorce first. Reagan helped me to file for the divorce, and in a few days, Brad and I became complete strangers. A week later, Brad and my mother-in-law packed their belongings and left the house. It seemed peculiar that Reagan, Brad's brother, continued to visit me after I divorced his brother. When I expressed concern about him worrying about his former sister-in-law, he responded, "I'm doing this because I want to. I didn't get along with you just because you were my brother's wife. We both provided care and did housework together. We've talked a lot more in these 7 years than you ever did with my brother. We're friends, aren't we?" Reagan said with a gentle smile. All I could do was express my thanks and gratitude. A month later, I was discharged from the hospital. Although I had to continue visiting for physical therapy, being back home after such a prolonged absence was a relief. I couldn't help but wonder, do you think those two will really ever come back? I'm worried they might return and make me work again. If they come back, I'll drive them away. I can't forgive them for treating you so horribly. Plus, they have no right to return to this house, Reagan reassured. Despite still being unable to move as before, Reagan took care of most household chores. Fortunately, as a freelancer working from home, I was able to return to work and contribute financially. Thanks to bi-weekly physical therapy, my recovery proceeded smoothly without complications. A year later, I was able to resume a normal life, collaborating with Reagan on housework. We spent more time together, using our days off for trips. Just as I thought our peaceful days would continue, a storm suddenly hit. One night, while Reagan and I were having dinner, the door was knocked, and the intercom rang repeatedly. When I nervously answered, Brad appeared on the monitor. "Hey, open up. This isn't your home anymore. State your business and leave," I firmly said as I opened the door, surprised by Brad's unexpected arrival. "What do you want?" Why do I have to put up with such an attitude just for coming home? Brad said, entering without hesitation. I'll be living here again from today. Oh, I'm hungry. Hey, Daisy, give me some food, he ordered, disregarding the changed dynamics. Cut it out. Why are you here? I asked, bewildered. Brad explained. Well, I've spent almost all my money. My mom will be here soon too, so leave the door unlocked. Remaining silent, I heard him say, Oh, you're all healed up, huh? That's great. Let's get back together. You must have had a hard time without me, as he persisted in his mistaken belief. He approached me with a disgusting familiarity, and the sheer audacity of his actions made me feel sick. Stop it. I divorced you. And I don't care about you anymore. Don't get cocky. You've been living on my money all this time, and you can't do anything but housework. Just shut up and do as I say, Brad shouted at me. Just then, the door opened, and his mother arrived, criticizing the unlocked door as careless. What's going on? She's been getting cheeky, so I was giving her a bit of education. She's grown thick-skinned in the year we've been away, Brad explained. Once again, Brad and his mother began to make themselves at home, acting as if it were the most natural thing in the world. I had had enough. This isn't your home. I'm calling the police. Oh yeah, about that. This house was originally in your father's name, right? So that means the heir, including my mother, makes our agreement null and void, doesn't it? Brad shouted, making an unreasonable claim. You promised to give me the house. If you're nullifying that, then everything about the division of property should be nullified as well. Give me half the savings. Sure, but I don't have it anymore. Didn't I tell you earlier? I've squandered it all. I quit my job, spent it all on booze, fun investments, you name it, Brad admitted, shocking me with the unbelievable revelation. I also have some debts with consumer finance, about $20,000. I guess you can pay for me, he continued. Initially, I thought he was lying, but his mother confirmed it. I can't lend you that much money. I'm not asking you to lend it. I'm telling you to pay it. I'm not giving you any money. I'm calling the police, I declared. As Reagan dialed the police to report the situation, Brad began wreaking havoc in the house, breaking the precious furniture that had been my father-in-law's keepsake. His mother joined in, destroying the furniture and laughing as she did so, something so terrible that it tarnished the memory of my father. About 10 minutes later, when the police arrived, I explained the situation to them. This is quite a mess. Let's hear your side of the story, one officer said. What's wrong with me breaking things in my own house? That's right. We're just crushing things we don't need. What's the problem? Brad argued, leaving the police unsure of how to respond. Reagan stepped in, clarifying that the house had never belonged to Brad and his mother. It was under my name. When the police seemed uncertain how to respond to this revelation, Reagan explained that our father-in-law had left a will, and the house was mine from the beginning. Brad and his mother stood dumbfounded. So this isn't your property then? The police asked. Hold on, but I'm her ex-husband. We're like family, so she'll forgive me, right? Brad pleaded. Don't make me laugh. You're a stranger. Once you're an ex, I don't even know you. You were in contact with another woman before our divorce was finalized and treated me like a maid. If not you, then who? I retorted. No, that's not what happened. I was just going along with what my mom said. She ordered me to do all this, Brad claimed. His mother confirmed that Brad had been trying to marry a young woman after our divorce, according to her information. He also quit his job to start his own business, but it failed within just a month. Despite having money, Brad was rejected by lenders and became reckless, engaging in irresponsible behavior such as playing and gambling, claiming he had money to spare. He admitted to having almost no money left, and it seemed that his financial situation was indeed dire. You brought this upon yourself. All this is Brad's fault, I asserted, despite their previous condescending attitudes towards me. They both desperately pleaded for forgiveness, attempting to shift the blame, but this was truly ridiculous. No, I won't forgive either of you. And this isn't something from the past, is it? You were treating me like a servant until a moment ago. Not leaving when I asked you to leave is illegal. And since the furniture collected by my late father-in-law is now mine, you'll need to compensate me for that. But all right, we will compensate you. Just please don't get the police involved. You wouldn't want me to go to jail, would you? They pleaded. Unmoved, I responded. I actually don't care at all. By the way, we're married. It turned out I was married to my former brother-in-law, Reagan. It hasn't even been a year, and you've moved on to another man, my own brother at that. What are you talking about? You moved on before you were even divorced, didn't you? You wouldn't return Daisy to me, no matter how many times I asked. Stop clinging to the past already. Brad was left speechless. I don't care anymore. I'll pay for whatever damages there are. How much for my idiot husband's junk? Well, if we calculate roughly, about $100,000. The furniture that my father-in-law had collected was all high-end pieces made by famous designers, I explained. Brad and his mother, who had no interest in these items, seemed to have believed they were just junk. You're going to compensate for what you've broken, right? We're not sure if we can get the same items, but make sure to pay properly. Unable to afford such compensation, Brad and his mother were distraught. For the time being, the police took the two of them away for trespassing and vandalism. Of course, I didn't forgive them and proceeded with the lawsuit. Afterwards, Brad and his mother, who were desperately seeking help from Regan, were bluntly rejected. Regan said, I'm ashamed to even be related by blood. Brad and his mother were likely receiving their just desserts together. And there's one more thing I kept secret. My father-in-law told me to sell the house and use the money as I wish. Regan had told me that the price of the house was $100,000. But in reality, the document stated the value of the house was around $500,000. It's a good location, so it might sell for a bit more. But for now, Regan and I decided to take it easy in the house my father-in-law left us, with no plans to sell it. Eventually, we planned to sell the land and build a new house. I had some worries about having children, so after getting married to Regan, I went to the gynecologist for a checkup. But there were no issues with either Regan or me. Now, with the troublemakers gone, Regan and I are living happily together.